5 times the world has ended, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I might be one of the causes for real. That's on me, big bro. That's on me, big bro. I don't know, bro. Let me stop yapping, bro, and let's see how the world ended.
The oldest of the 5 and work our way towards the most recent mass extinction. Number 5, the Andor Division extinction. 440.
Hold on. Before
most recent mass extinction. Number 5, the Andor Division.
Before you get to the video, bro, what is that thing in the bottom of the sea, bro? What is that? A spider monkey? No, chill, it's not a monkey. Chill, it's like that's somebody's doll, head, bro. They pulled the hair out,
444 million years ago, the world was very different. The planet didn't have trees, plants, or animals on land, and Earth looked something like this, which
looked like an oval.
Is clearly wrong, and not where they were supposed to be. But inside the ocean, it was a different story. It was packed with species and thriving. During this time, most of the marine life lived in warm, shallow seas.
I don't like that moon. I don't like that moon. I don't like that moon.
Here are some of the animals you could expect to see during this time period. Trilobites, brachiopods, bryozoans, crinoids, and nautilus, just to name a few. And don't bother double checking my pronunciation. I can tell you now, I easily nailed over half of them. But just when these animals began to get comfortable, everything changed.
Buddy, why your mouth wide open like that on the left? Or on my right? I don't know, man. Why your mouth open like that, bro? Stop taking up all the water. I need some too.
The coastlines where the majority of life existed slowly began to retreat year after year. The winters began to get longer and harsher, and the ice that formed took longer to melt. But eventually, the winters got so severe that the ice stopped melting altogether. The planet went into a severe ice age that lasted anywhere from 200,000 to 400,000 years. You see, the giant continent of Gondwana had drifted over the South Pole, and when snow fell onto the land, combined with the...
Oh! That means there were aliens here. See that spaceship? That means there were aliens.
Earth's cooling. The snow didn't melt. Then year after year, the snow compressed into large glaciers, which would otherwise have flowed into the ocean, lowering sea levels. The very few life forms that survived the ice age eventually adapted to the new climate and began to thrive once again. But just when they began to get comfortable, you guessed it, everything changed. Temperatures began to rise, ice melted, sea levels rose, and the oceans became low in oxygen, leading to another mass extinction of life that was not adapted to the increasing warming climate and changing environment. In the end, around 85% of all marine species on Earth died, making this event the second.
How do you know if 85% of the species died, bro? Like were we there? But science, I don't care if science. No, bro. They didn't even discover fully of the full depth of the ocean. You expect me to believe 85 of them died, bro?
Second largest mass extinction in our planet's history. Number 4, the late Devonian extinction. 360 million years ago, Earth had another massive extinction that changed the planet forever. During the Devonian period, Earth was going through many changes. The first true forests appeared and were quickly spreading. Plants were diversifying, and soil formation was increasing like never before, thanks to deep root systems. At this time, Earth looked something like this. Sea levels had risen once again, allowing life to thrive in shallow waters. Let's take a look at some of the strange animals that inhabited the seas. Now, obviously, I could just show you the fossilized remains of these animals.
Hold up. So we can start getting the fat fishes, like the murderer fishes, like the one that like go fast and like I don't know.
And move on.
I don't know, man, right?
But don't forget, I'm one of the most historically accurate artists of the 21st century. So I might as well show you what these animals really look like. Dunkleosteus was a large armored fish that was among the top predators. Titanichthys was one of the first filter-feeding fish. The Cladosolacti was regarded as one of the first true sharks. Eurypterid, also known as sea scorpions. I don't have a fact for that one, but I just thought they were really cool.
Why you got a big ass foot, though? Why you got a foot coming out of his ass? That's crazy. That's crazy though. But the one that baby looking fish though, shark, whatever you want to call that. Hopefully, you probably got extinct, bro. No offense, bro. No
like brachiopods and trilobites, among many
That's a Pokemon right there. That's a Pokemon
right there. The more interesting animals were those that were briefly exiting the ocean and
we got a Mario-looking sun, bro. I fuck with that.
Waddling onto land. Animals like the Tiktaalik, Acanthostega, and Ichthyostega. But the good times couldn't last forever. As forests spread across the land, trees began to pull large amounts of CO2 out of the air, cooling the planet. The trees' deep and intricate root systems expanded, breaking down rock and soil. Rain carried those nutrients into rivers and finally into the ocean. The extra nutrients caused massive algae blooms, using up the oxygen in the water and creating large dead zones.
Shit, not fishing, I meant frog. For algae. Holy shit.
Where animals could no longer survive, essentially suffocating them.
Damn.
Around 75% of all species went extinct. Number 3, the Permian Triassic extinction. 250 million years ago, Earth finally became interesting. Gone were the times of ocean bugs and silly looking fish, and we finally got something that is actually fun to draw. The Permian period was awesome. The oceans were teeming with life, and the long-awaited land expansion was finally released.
They unlocked new territory, like you know how like in Fortnite or like different map games, like it's like hidden. And they discovered new land, bro. They discovered new areas, bro. Shout out to the planet.
Allowing hundreds of animals to roam across it. This is what the planet looked like during this time period. Nearly all land joined forces to create Pangea, a supercontinent. The weather was hot, dry, and got more unbearable.
I look like California, maybe? Hawaii? No, I gotta be.
The further you went into the continent, the oceans were full of life and contained all the usual suspects: brachiopods, ammonoids, crinoids, reefs, trilobites, cartilaginous fish, ray fin fish, and lobefin fish.
Hey, shout out to all my fishes, bro. But the rest of them heebie-jeebie things, bro. This, that, chabba-dabba-dabba-da. Yeah, y'all can go.
Just to name a few. The land was now completely different from the last time we saw it. It was covered in trees, plants, and moss, and full of large and dangerous animals. Animals like the
That's my motherfucking... That's a Toronto shit, nigga. That's a Toronto nigga, bro. That's a Toronto nigga,
Metrodon, a large apex predator. Gorgonopsians, a saber-toothed apex predator. Dicynodonts, a tank build that was just funny to look at.
Hey, you just a fat old hippopotamus ass, anteater ass, armadillo ass thing, bro.
Then there were the first early therapsids, reptiles, and insects. It seemed like the circle of life was getting back on track. But just as the competition was heating up, so would the planet. Well, even more than it already was. Volcanoes in the Siberian region began to erupt, releasing large amounts of CO2, methane, and toxic gas.
Why everybody getting suffocated, bro? God damn, like you trying to chill, you know, with your homeboy, your homegirl, right? And then this big ass CO, carbon dioxide, coming to your lungs, suffocating the shit out of you. Shout to Earth again, right?
These eruptions continued for hundreds of thousands of years. This enormous amount of CO2 trapped heat in the atmosphere, heating the entire planet another 5 to 10 degrees Celsius. The planet became much drier. Oxygen levels dropped in the oceans once again, and entire ecosystems collapsed, turning the planet into a hellish oven. Around 90 to 96% of all marine life and around 70% of all land vertebrae went extinct, making this the largest mass extinction in our planet's history. It has even been referred to as the Great Dying. Number 2,
well, no shit, because they're all dead. The Great Dying. I mean, yeah. No.
Triassic extinction. Finally, we get to the time periods we all care about. After the end Permian extinction came the Triassic period, a time of recovery and new beginnings that would completely reshape the planet forever. Earth's land still consisted of the single large continent Pangea and was surrounded by Panthalassa, a mega ocean. The planet was still very warm and the majority of the land was covered in large deserts. Out in and near the oceans is where life thrived.
Where's your proof at, right? Right, where is your proof? Where is your proof that all these planets were connected together? I ain't never seen it. I'm joking. Chill.
Large trees and plants emerge near river valleys, and dry climate plants spread across harsher...
No, where is the proof, though? I don't see the proof, though.
Hotter lands. Many apex predators began to emerge and take over entire ecosystems. Animals like the Listosaurus, a small pig-sized herbivore. Then there was one of the earliest known dinosaurs, Coelophysis, a medium-sized carnivore that grew to enormous numbers. And just by looking at them, you could just tell they were annoying. One of the most...
Oh shit.
Terrifying animals to emerge
Alligator.
was the Postosuchus,
Like alligator,
a large crocodile-like predator with enormous jaws. During this time was when the first true mammals began to appear. In the oceans, marine life was also diversifying, and the first animals that somewhat resemble today's creatures began to emerge. Animals like the ichthyosaur, a marine reptile resembling dolphins. Just, way more terrifying.
They still be acting the same way too, bro. If they want to bully you, bro, they will bully you in packs.
There was also Nothosaurus, which was last spotted in 1933 in Scotland. Then, of course, towards the end of the Triassic period, thousands of other marine species had emerged. The Triassic period lasted over 50 million years, but eventually the continent of Pangaea began to be torn apart. Enormous volcanic eruptions occurred that lasted up to 1 million years. And just like the
how do you know though? Like, how do we know?
Mass extinction before. These eruptions heated the planet, starved many parts of the ocean of oxygen, and led to the extinction of around 75% of all species.
That's not pretty cool at all.
Even in this nightmare landscape, a small group managed to survive.
Who?
A relatively small, non-dominant creature who witnessed its larger, stronger competition slowly die off and become extinct.
A tiger.
And in this power vacuum, the once insignificant creature rose and went on to dominate the planet for the next 130.
The ants.
5 million years. It was now the time of the dinosaurs. Number 1, Cretaceous Paleogene extinction.
What about the other animals? What are not dinosaurs too?
Soon after the Triassic extinction, small dinosaurs like the Coelophysis, Dilophosaurus, and Plateosaurus began to take over the planet. Scientists believe these creatures survived thanks to their upright posture, efficient lungs, and their ability to withstand heat and droughts. During the Jurassic period, the dinosaurs had solidified themselves as the most dominant animal on the planet. With large amounts of food available, they quickly diversified. Many grew to enormous sizes and evolved. Some didn't. Scientists estimate that there could have been as many as 10,000 species of dinosaurs roaming the planet. Here are some of the most notable ones, just so you can get an idea of who the star players were. There were the apex predators like the Tyrannosaurus, Spinosaurus, and Allosaurus. Then, of course, you had your giants like the Tyrannosaurus, Spinosaurus,
and a big ass T-Rex.
Then, of course, you had your giant herbivores like Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus, and
I don't see the hold on.
Then of course you had your giant herbivores like Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus.
I don't see the difference, right? One's a longer tail maybe? Or a longer neck? I don't know. That's the same, right?
And Triceratops. Then you had the dinosaurs that were just there for comedic relief, like the Suchosaurus and the Pegomastax. This is also when the first birds appeared. Going into the Cretaceous period, dinosaurs had adapted and flourished in forests, plains, coastal environments, and oceans. New flowering plants also encouraged insects to heavily diversify. But as we all know, these times wouldn't last. And eventually, everything would change in the blink of an eye. One day, a day just like the millions of days before it, over what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, what looked like a small glowing star appeared in the sky. Not a single animal on the planet knew of its existence or had any idea it was even there.
It probably did, though. It probably did. Like, hey, I'm a dinosaur for real.
A few moments later, that small glowing pin in the sky quickly grew and became brighter than any other star. And within minutes, it rivaled even the sun. Birds scattered. Dinosaurs lifted their heads and froze in place as they tracked
that William Dafoe meme.
The light that was traveling towards the Earth. The impact of the meteor is unimaginable. It's been described as billions of Hiroshima atomic bombs all exploding simultaneously.
Not shout out to Japan like that, but shout out to nah, I'm not even gonna say it, bro. What
nearby animals were instantly vaporized. Not even their bones would be left behind. Entire forests were flattened. A massive wall of water over a mile high raced across the ocean and tore through the earth.
So not only did you get hit by a meteor, you got hit by a big ass tsunami. Okay.
As magnitude 11 earthquakes shook the land. An hour after impact, superheated debris began to rain down across the planet, incinerating anything it touched.
This is a reset right here. This is a reset.
Combined with the radiant heat pulses, ignited forests, grasslands, and anything flammable, quickly turning the planet into a burning inferno. A few days after impact, the enormous cloud of vaporized debris, which traveled from the impact site, had covered the entire planet, turning some areas pitch black. while the rest of the planet received minimal light. The fine dust could have remained in the stratosphere for up to 10 years. In that time, photosynthesis completely stopped.
No plants,
with no vegetation
no
growing. For most, life on Earth was all but impossible. Around 75% of all
wiped out, squad wiped.
All life on Earth went extinct. In the end, it's pretty mind-boggling when you sit back and think that humans have only been on the planet for around 300,000 years. Yet, dinosaurs walked and ruled the planet for over 164 million years.
I mean, something ain't adding up then. Something ain't added up then, bro. Ain't the math ain't mathing maybe. I don't know, right? That's 5 times the planet, you know, reset, bro. And I probably did one of those. I don't know which one I did. Probably the asteroid. That's probably me, bro. I probably been hitting like Mars or something. But I saw Earth instead. That's on me, bro. That's on me, bro. Shout out to dinosaurs, right? And shout out to the Homo sapiens, bro. Shout out to them, bro. They're the real ones. And I'm gonna see y'all in the next video, bro, because this is a good video, bro. This is a good video. They made 5 resets. 5. Okay, my bad. Out. Peace.